Welcome to the AI Daily Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Now, what you're about to hear is something a bit different. This entire deep dive, the research, the summary, even, well, the script, it was all generated by AI.
That's right. It's an interesting experiment using the tech to talk about the tech.
Exactly. So, our goal today, Friday, May 2nd, 2025, is to get you quickly up to speed on the 5 biggest AI stories happening right now.
We got quite a lineup.
We do. We'll start with Google and its NotebookLM going mobile. Then Visa's plans for AI in shopping.
And Amazon's Alexa Plus upgrade is finally rolling out, at least partly.
Yes, plus Apple's working with Anthropic on AI for developers. And finally, a really fascinating anthropological take on how we're relating to AI.
A packed agenda. Where should we start?
Let's kick off with Google and NotebookLM. They're launching mobile apps.
Yeah, that's the big news. Proper apps for iOS and Android. If you haven't used NotebookLM, it's basically been this web-based AI research tool. A smart notebook, you could say.
Okay, and what does it do?
Well, you feed it stuff, right? PDFs, articles, web links, YouTube videos, Google Docs, even just plain text.
Uh-huh.
And then you interact with the AI. It's running on their Gemini models to, summarize the content, answer your specific questions about it.
Oh, interesting.
And it can even generate these little mini podcasts or audio summaries, complete with citations back to your source material.
So the move to mobile apps, that means you can take this research assistant anywhere.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And the apps themselves have some neat features built in.
Like what?
Well, for starters, offline mode for those audio summaries. You download them, listen on your commute, no signal needed.
That's useful.
Definitely. And background playback, so you can listen while doing other things on your phone. They've also apparently revamped the UI.
How so?
There's a new home screen organizing your notebooks, recent, shared, title, downloaded tabs, a scrollable list, and a quick play button for an audio overview of a notebook. And the audio player itself is getting an upgrade. Full screen, animated waveform, and you can ask follow-up questions right from the player interface.
Sounds slick. How about getting things into the notebook on mobile?
Seems pretty straightforward. You can upload files, paste text or URLs like before, or just use the phone's standard share sheet to send content directly to NotebookLM.
Makes sense.
Oh, and for tablet users, they're adding a split-screen layout, so you can see your source document on one side and the AI chat or summary on the other.
That's quite practical for research. So these are replacing the old web app version.
Essentially, yes. There'll be native apps, not just the progressive web app, which should mean, deeper integration with the phone's features.
And when can people get their hands on it?
Pre-registration is open now on the App Store and Google Play. The automatic download is expected around May 20th.
Ah, coinciding with Google I/O then.
It looks that way, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll need a Google account to sign in, naturally.
Right. And I think I heard something about a paid version, NotebookLM Plus.
You did. That's tied into the Google One AI Premium subscription. It basically gives you more capacity, like 5 times the resources per notebook for things like audio overviews and queries, plus some extra customization options and features aimed more at teams using it collaboratively.
Got it. Okay, let's switch tracks. Big news from Visa too, integrating AI into commerce.
That's the plan. They're calling it Visa Intelligent Commerce. The core idea is to embed AI shopping assistants directly into their payment network.
Whoa. So like you tell an AI what you want and it just finds it and buys it using your Visa.
That seems to be the long-term vision, yeah. Imagine an AI agent that knows your style, your budget, checks real-time prices, maybe even negotiates, and then handles the transaction.
Not ambitious. Who are they working with on this?
Some big names in AI. They've mentioned partnerships with Anthropic, Microsoft, OpenAI, Perplexity.
Wow, covering the bases.
Right, and collaborators like IBM, Stripe, and Samsung to help build out the ecosystem. Visa's CEO, Ryan McInerney, seems convinced AI will fundamentally transform how we shop online.
What's the main driver for Visa here? What's their angle?
Publicly, they're framing it around trust and safety. They argue that these AI agents, integrated with their network, could actually be better at spotting and stopping fraud.
How so?
By analyzing patterns across vast amounts of transaction data, basically. They think the AI could quickly tell a legit purchase from a dodgy one.
Okay, that's one potential upside, but I imagine there are concerns too.
Absolutely. Some experts are raising flags. Dr. Jennifer King from Stanford's AI Center pointed out, there's a difference between an AI handling simple, trusted transactions versus complex purchases.
Right.
And she's worried about it tying into the whole ad surveillance economy, potentially leading to dynamic pricing where the AI negotiates. but maybe not always in your favor.
So the AI might lock you into higher prices.
That's the fear, that these bots could perhaps unintentionally or even deliberately entrench deceptive practices or just get you a worse deal because it knows your habits or perceived willingness to pay.
Any other potential pitfalls mentioned?
Yeah, legal and ethical questions, too. David Harris from the California Initiative for Technology and Democracy brought up the issue of liability. Remember that Air Canada chatbot case where it gave wrong info?
Oh, vaguely, yeah.
Well, who's responsible if an AI shopping assistant makes a mistake, buys the wrong thing, or gets scammed? Is it Visa? The AI developer? You?
That's a messy question.
Definitely. Visa says they're running pilot projects now, but widespread adoption really hinges on building consumer trust. As Dr. King put it, people won't use it if they feel like they're constantly getting ripped off.
Makes total sense. Okay, let's move over to Amazon. Alexa Plus is finally seeing the light of day.
Yes, partially. They've started a limited preview rollout of Alexa Plus, the new generative AI version, to some U.S. customers.
This has been a long time coming, hasn't it? I remember hearing about it way back.
It has. Announced back in September 2023. They initially aimed for an October 2024 launch, but delayed it. Now, as of this month, May 2025, they're saying over 100,000 early users in the U.S. have access.
So what's the big difference with Alexa plus Elo? What makes it plus?
The main thing is more natural conversational AI. It's supposed to understand context better, so you don't have to repeat yourself constantly.
Finally.
Right. And that context can carry across multiple interactions and even different Echo devices. Start talking in the kitchen, pick it up on the Fire TV later.
That's a definite improvement. What about the generative part?
That means it can create new content. Think suggesting gift ideas, making up bedtime stories on the fly, helping with meal plans. Though Amazon admits that some of these features are still, under development.
Gotcha. Which devices work with it initially?
For this preview, it's mainly the Echo Show devices, the 8, 10, 15, and the newer 21-inch model. They plan to expand compatibility later.
And privacy. Always a concern with smart speakers.
Amazon's highlighting that. They mentioned the usual indicator lights and sounds when it's listening or processing, physical mic and camera controls on the devices, and options in the app to delete recordings or any typed interactions you might have.
Okay. Is this free or is there a catch?
There's a subscription model. If you're an Amazon Prime member, Alexa Plus is included. If you're not a Prime member, it's going to cost $19.99 a month.
Wow, okay, so it's a premium feature.
Pretty much positioned that way, yeah. They're gradually expanding the early access, so eligible Echo owners should get notified.
It'll be interesting to see how well it works and if people think it's worth the price, especially non-Prime members. They face stiff competition too, right?
Oh, definitely. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta. Everyone's pushing generative AI. And Amazon's had some feature delays, like integrating Grubhub, ordering fully. Building trust and keeping users engaged will be key.
Especially given their big investment in Anthropic.
Exactly, that $4 billion stake.
Yeah.
They're using Anthropic's Claude AI tech under the hood for some of this.
Right. Okay, story number 4 takes us to Apple, also involving Anthropic, actually. What's happening there?
Apple is teaming up with Anthropic to build an AI coding assistant into Xcode.
Xcode, that's Apple's main tool for developers building apps for Mac, iPhone, etc.
That's the one. The goal here is pretty clear. Make coding faster and easier by embedding AI help right where developers are working.
Powered by Anthropic's models.
Yep, specifically their Claude Sonnet model. It's designed to help write code, edit existing code, suggest improvements, and even test code.
Apple seemed a little behind the curve on AI coding tools compared to, say, Microsoft's GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, that's fair. They showed off something called Swift Assist last year at WWDC, their developer conference, but it wasn't quite the same scale. This partnership with Anthropic feels like a much bigger push to catch up.
So what will it actually do for a developer using Xcode?
It sounds like it'll work through a chat-style interface within Xcode. You could ask it to generate a chunk of code based on a description.
Okay.
Or ask it to review your code, find bugs, suggest fixes, maybe optimize it to run faster or be easier to read. They also mentioned it could help with testing UI elements more effectively.
Like having an AI pair programmer sitting next to you.
Sort of, yeah. That's the idea. But it's still early days.
How early?
Apple's currently testing it internally with their own engineers. There's no public timeline yet for when or even if it'll roll out to all developers.
Got it. So internal testing first. It definitely fits the industry trend, though.
For sure. AI coding assistants are becoming pretty standard. Microsoft has Copilot. Google has its own tools. OpenAI is reportedly looking at acquiring companies in this space, too.
That's the big one. Accuracy, reliability, potential security vulnerabilities introduced by AI code. These are all major hurdles. And then there's just developer adoption. Will coders trust it and integrate it into their workflow?
Lots to watch there. Okay, finally, let's broaden the lens a bit. Our last story comes from the New York Academy of Sciences and looks at AI from an anthropological angle.
Yeah, this was the final lecture in their anthropology section series, held back in April. It really dug into how AI is impacting society, our ideas about morality, language, even our sense of self.
Who was leading this discussion? The keynote was Webb Keen. He's a professor at the University of Michigan. He talked about this concept of the metahuman from his book.
Metahuman. What does that mean in this context?
Keen describes it as something that seems to have, superior powers or knowledge, but it doesn't have a physical body or a defined place in society.
Like AI.
Exactly. He draws parallels between how we're starting to interact with AI and how humans historically have interacted with, say, gods or spirits, entities that offer guidance or information, but aren't physically present in the same way we are.
That's a fascinating comparison. How does he see this playing out, like, practically?
He pointed out how AI is already entering religious and ethical debates. He gave the example of Gita GPT.
Gita GPT.
Yeah, an AI chatbot trained to respond like the Hindu deity Krishna, offering moral and spiritual advice based on the Bhagavad Gita. His point is, we seem wired to respond to these systems as if they have some kind of authority or wisdom, almost instinctively. And because AI is built from our language, our data, our stories, he says it inevitably reflects our fears and our values back at us.
So interacting with AI tells us more about ourselves.
That seems to be the core argument. It's not just a tool. It becomes a participant in how we make sense of the world.
Were there other perspectives in the lecture?
Yes. Professor Omri Elisha compared AI to astrology, both systems that kind of translate complex, abstract forces into actionable guidance for people. He talked about crowdsourced truth and how we increasingly rely on these platforms for knowledge. And Dr. Danilin Rutherford argued for a more global view, reminding us that humans everywhere have always found ways to make meaning and work with non-human actors or forces. She used this nice metaphor about different ponds fostering unique relationships, even if they're all part of the same bigger puddle.
So different cultures might interact with AI differently based on their existing ways of relating to the non-human.
Precisely. The overall takeaway wasn't so much about the technical capabilities of AI, but what our reactions to AI reveal about human nature.
And Keen had a key question summing that up.
He did. He essentially asked, the real question is not whether AI is sentient, but why we respond to it as if it were. What does that reveal about our values, our anxieties, and our longing for guidance?
That really leaves you thinking.
It certainly does.
Well, that wraps up our AI Daily Deep Dive for today. We've journeyed from Google's mobile AI notebooks and Visa's AI shopping dreams
through the upgraded Alexa++, Apple's AI coding partner,
all the way to questioning what our fascination with AI says about us humans. Quite the range.
Definitely a lot happening.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As you interact with AI, maybe asking a chatbot a question or relying on a recommendation algorithm, what assumptions are you making about it? And what might that reveal about your own needs or anxieties? Something to ponder as these technologies become even more integrated into our world.
Good food for thought.
Thanks for joining us on the AI Daily Deep Dive.